Hello.
I'm excited. These days are so fun when we get to reveal something new. So
Yes.
hi, everybody.
Hello.
Good to see
afternoon.
everyone. There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Well, there's more
Yeah.
on the other side. Let me get my music turned off so you guys can all hear us. Well, today, I was about to say happy Monday. Oops, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I know. I don't know. But yeah, we're excited. I think you guys are excited too. And some of you have even posted your finished project, which we're going to approve those in our VIP Facebook group today after
I haven't gotten in there and looked. I'm going to have to go in there and look before they all come out.
Yes.
So I know some of you have been finishing it, and that is very, very exciting.
Yes. Okay. So before we start today, well, we're going to show you in just a second. I know. Thank you, Evelyn. We're going to show you the quilt in just a second. You're also going to stitch a block. So after the reveal, you wanted them to vote on which block.
Yes.
Which we'll talk about.
Yeah, and we never allow you to do that. We usually just decide this is what we're doing, and we go forth with it. But we're going to let you pick between two of the blocks.
Yes. So, and then she'll stitch it so you can see that. But before we actually show it and get started, if you would drop, let's see, put a number 3 in the comments. If you have no idea what this looks like, you didn't order it, and you're just kind of tuning in to figure it out. What is it?
She's like, they're probably going, what are you talking about?
Oh, well, we're revealing we had a mini mystery mailer. We're about to, this is reveal day. We're going to show it. If you didn't order it and you just want to know look at this, 3.
Yeah.
Perfect. Now, if you ordered it, you already know what it looks like. And I would love it if you would put type me in the comments. If you already know what it looks like. Yes. Okay, cool. Okay. Lots of number 3s. Okay, perfect. Well, before we show what it is, I do want to tell you about the few clues that we gave before. Look at all the me's too. Okay. So back when we launched the mini mystery mailer for the first time ever, we've never done a mini mystery mailer. We gave you a few clues. You want to tell them what the clues were?
Yes, absolutely. As you can see on the wall behind us, it's a mini quilt. It's a little tiny quilt. There's actually 12 blocks. No, 9. Yeah, 9 blocks. Says it right there on the screen. 9 unique blocks. And the finished size is about 15 by 21. And it definitely has a home sweet home theme to it. And as you can see on the screen, the blocks are about 5 by 7, just a little bit under. So you do need a minimum of a 5 by 7 hoop.
Yep.
So yeah, it's
exciting. You had no idea what you were ordering.
Nope.
But yet, look at all those me's on there.
Know,
pretty fun.
I know.
All right, so do you guys want to see it? I think they want to see it.
I think they do want to see
it. So here's what I would love to do. I think we should show it here and then show close-ups.
Okay.
Does that work?
That works for me.
You want me to show it and you talk about it?
I'm going to move a few things over here.
The size is so cute. She just said mini quilt, and it's just adorable.
Just so cute.
Are we ready?
I'm ready.
I know
they're ready.
Okay, here we
go.
Look
around.
If you put number 3, here it is.
Look at that. It's just so cute.
It's
a
so
fun.
cute.
It's 9 adorable little houses of all the things we absolutely love. You love copying. You love sewing.
Or tea. It could be tea.
It could be tea. It could. You love making quilts. You love all that stuff. You just love being home doing that. So there's a cute little heart of the home, and you have a tomato pincushion and a little vintage sewing machine. And on the bottom row, we have a little house that says welcome. And then this is a spool of thread. And of course, all your books, and especially your binders that have all your Hoop Sisters instructions in them.
Isn't that cute? And I love the background quilt. Hot cocoa. Yeah. Like whatever you want that to be.
Whatever you're in the mood for that day.
We'll show that up like over here too, because I think it's just a nice view. And we haven't even talked about the background quilting that's included.
Yeah.
So
there you go. Here it is, a little bit of a close-up. You can see the thread going through the needle in this house. This house has a little twisted log cabin thing going on. And here's your cocoa, tea, or coffee, or whatever you want. There's even some steam coming off of it. But as Aubrey had mentioned, the quilting that you see there, all the quilting is already included with the design. Let's go over to row 2 and give you a close-up. So this one has a cute little, kind of like a paper pieced heart in there. And then we have our applique tomato pin cushion into our vintage sewing machine. And here we have our home, and that says welcome on there. We've added a little piece of vinyl that's optional, but you can add a little piece of vinyl to make it look like a window. Then we have our spool of thread, and of course our books. We got to have our books. This says Quilting 101. This one here is a photo album. And that one, of course, says Hoop Sisters.
Adorable.
It is so stinking adorable. It's just cute. It's fun. Each block is going to have something more fun, a little bit different to sew in it. Some of it's similar, like this part of it will be different, but everything around it will be similar. And it all has the quilting included.
Mm-hmm.
So there it is.
It's adorable.
It is so stinking adorable.
And someone asked if you used wool in your sample.
I used wool in this sample.
Okay.
Today we will not use wool. So if you wanted to compare the two at the end, we can certainly do that.
So here's what I want you to know. And then we're going to pick which block.
Yes.
Okay. Here's what I want you to know. We actually have about a dozen of these left in stock. I'm talking the whole mailer, like the mini mystery mailer. Still have some in stock. I don't know how long they're going to last. So if you are like, dang it, I should have ordered this. We actually do have a few left, and they include the design on USB and the fabric that is in our sample for $65.99. So if you're like kicking yourself because you didn't do it when it was a mystery,
Guess what?
Guess what? Yep, we'll drop the order link. Now, here's the deal. I don't have very many. They're probably going to sell out now that everyone knows what it looks like, but we do have the downloadable option on the website as well. So thank you, Nina. She just dropped the order link. So if you are like, man, I wish I would have got it, you can still get it while supplies last. Don't know how long that will be. All right, so let's take a look. Speaking of the mailer, let's take a look at that fabric, and then you can decide what block we're going to stitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So with your fabric kit that you get in your mini mystery mailer, you will get your fabric kit insert, and that just names all the different fabrics. So at the top row here, it names all the solids. The next row down is all your prints, and down here would be your binding. So these are all the beautiful fabrics.
They're so pretty.
I know, they are so pretty. They coordinate all so well together. I absolutely love every one of them. This one reminds me of watermelon. Yeah. So this is just a little taste of the kit. And I even love the background fabric.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you guys can see.
Oh, yeah. It's so cute.
Little tiny white on white flowers in the background. It is just so precious. Absolutely love it. So there's what the fabric kit looks like. So I'm going to let me start to slide things around now.
Let me interrupt real quick. Yes, Barb, you can buy just the design. It would be a digital download, and it's at the order link. Okay.
All right. So if you do get the fabric kit, you will get the insert that shows you all the fabric that's in the kit that we sent you. However, you also in your download, or is it in, I forget,
USB in the mailer, yeah.
So, well, if it's in the mailer, then they got the kit, the fabric kit. So they just need this.
Yeah.
But in with your files and stuff, there's one that's blank. So that if you want to make it again, or you want to pick your own fabric, it's going to have a blank one. And what you would do is you would just, we have fat eighth, pretty much all the way through. So it's going to be easy to kind of pick it out. So even if you go and buy fat quarters, you're going to have enough to be able to do this. So what we suggest you do is when you get all your fabrics picked out, that you just take a swatch of your fabric and just set it there and put it in each of those boxes so you can put it by your machine. And I will tell you in the instructions, let me just turn to one of the sets of instructions. This is just to help you out later. So in the set of instructions, we have what we call S2. We will have an S and we will have a P with a number after it. That just means solid or print. And it corresponds to this. So these are all, this is your background, and these are all the S1, S2, S3. And then anything with a P in front of it would be the prints that you choose. So if you're going to go through your stash or go to a quilt shop to pick your fabric, I highly recommend to just go into one line that's already coordinated and pick some prints you like out of it. And hopefully they'll have some solids that'll look good with it as well. So now let's talk about, everybody gets to vote what we're going to do.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. These are the 2 blocks I picked that I will let you vote from. So we have a heart and we have the welcome. So if you want to vote to see which one you want me to stitch out right now, then all you have to do is type in heart or welcome. And oh gosh, how are we going to tally these up? Now, see, I didn't think of everything.
Well, I was just going to say, you can go ahead and vote, but it's really going to be as many as I see.
We're eyeballing
So
this.
far, I'm seeing more welcomes than I am hearts, but
yep. And I do have a little kit for each block just to see. I'm prepared for both.
oh my gosh, I think it's welcome so far.
If you heart people,
I see
really want heart.
Here's what I see, because I'm seeing YouTube comments and Facebook comments
meshing together,
all mixing up together.
Yep.
But I'll see like 3 welcomes and then I'll see a heart.
All right.
Why did you do this to me? It's so stressful.
I don't want to stress you.
I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Well, I'm going to head to the machine and pull
I think
up
it's
the
welcome.
Okay.
I think the welcome wins.
All right. That's the direction we're going to go. All right, I'm getting my design loaded in my machine. And I like to push the button on my screen that shows me just what is stitching right now on the step that I'm on. And the reason I like to do that is because it matches our instructions. So if you have that feature on your machine where you can see the entire design on the screen or just that step, try and picking the one that has just that step. And I think you'll find that that is going to be very helpful. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is you're going to hoop our battleizer product. It's a batting product that is a very thin batting, super easy to hoop. And it basically takes the place of stabilizer and batting. So you only have that one product that you need to hoop in the machine. One to buy, one to cut, one to hoop. It's great. It's absolutely great. So another thing I wanted to show everyone too is that when I go through one of our designs, now this is our sheet that before the written instructions that shows the different fabric you need. I will take like that key that I showed you earlier where you put your swatches of fabric, and I will just write in what that fabric is up here in the heading. That way I know what to cut. Now I'll say it says solid fabric 2, and I wrote orange underneath it. And then I can see that my orange I need to cut 2 1/4 by 3. That's going to be my little door. So I like to do that. It just makes it easier and more efficient when you're doing your cutting. The other thing that I like to do is when you do go to the written instruction page, that you can also, where it says to place S2 fabric, I will write orange wherever it says that. And then down here it says P3 fabric, which is the teal check. I will go ahead and I'll just write teal check. I'll kind of describe the fabric. If you do that and you keep that little swatch sheet by your machine, things will go smoother and you won't have to worry about stopping and going, now which fabric was that? It just makes it a lot easier. So again, this is the one that we are stitching out today. So I'm going to grab all my fabrics and hopefully I cut them all correctly. If not, we'll find out. So another thing I like to do to kind of smooth things along is I kind of like to lay them out somewhere near the machine. And by the way, this is my little piece of vinyl. We'll hope I can find that a little bit later. Sometimes I will take my fabric and I will stack it up in the order that I'm going to stitch it out on. I didn't do that today, so we're going to freewheel it and hope everything turns out okay. So our written instructions, the first thing that it says to hoop the battleizer, which I did, and to put water-soluble thread in the needle, which I have done, and then we're going to stitch out. You're not going to be able to see it because it's pretty much white on white. Generally, we already have that stitched out in a colored thread, but today you'll be able to see exactly where it's going to stitch. It's just stitching that 5x7 rectangle inside the hoop, so we have an idea exactly where the block is going to be. The next step is an optional step, and I think someone had already asked if I had used wool. In our finished sample that was hanging on the Feltrite wall behind Aubrey, we did put wool in that. We're going to skip it today, just for the sake of time on the live, but I am going to talk to you about it a little bit. So this is a little piece of wool. You have to do a little preparation if you're going to put a square of wool in there. And the reason sometimes you may want to do that is to maybe give it a little bit more dimension. You can see how it would puff up nicely with the quilting and give your block a lot more dimension. But what you have to do is you have to press the edges of it in about 1/4 of an inch. So you can see how it's been pressed. And I usually use a piece of parchment paper between the wool and the iron and just press it in about 1/4 of an inch. And you can definitely see how it flattens that. And we like to have it flattened on the edges because it's less chance of maybe your presser foot getting caught in that wool. And if you do end up at some point getting the presser foot caught in the wool, don't worry, a couple little snips and you'll be able to get it out of there very easily, as long as you're right by your machine. Little caution there. So then our next step is a step where it's going to sew the pattern onto the battleizer. And again, you can watch it stitch. It's basically going to stitch, oh, bad view, this design, or a picture of our little house right on top there. I probably should have used colored thread anyway. Oh, yeah. And the reason we're using water-soluble thread in the first several steps is just because it makes it a lot easier with a lot fewer thread changes, and we can speed things along nice and easy that way. All right, now we can start doing our piecing in the hoop, which is so much fun. So our next step, it says to place S2 fabric. S stands for solid, and 2 in our case, and with those who bought the kit, it would be our orange fabric. So we're going to place it right side up, and we're going to sew the tack down stitches again using water soluble thread. So I'm just going to center this right over this area here. And I like to look underneath and make sure I have equal amounts of extra fabric on top to bottom and left to right. That way I know I've got everything covered sufficiently. All right, so let's sew that tack down. And then while it's sewing, the only thing you really have to do is just make sure that fabric is laying nice and smooth. Okay, so if you need to, you can trim 1/4 of an inch all the way around that stitching. This really looks pretty good. I maybe could trim just a hair off this area here. And the reason I think I want to do that is because it's going to have white fabric down here. And I don't want that orange fabric showing through the white. So I'm just going to give it a slight haircut with my Hoop Scissors Mini. And then we're on to step 5. And on that step, it says place neutral thread the needle only. So we're going to leave our embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin, and we're going to put just a neutral color thread in the needle. And then we're going to take, it says, a small piece of P3, which is our print 3, And that would be our teal check. So this would be that one right there. And we're going to lay this right side down with the raw edges even here at the top. I'm just going to lay it down just like that. And we're going to sew a seam, but I do still need to change my thread. One of the things you need to really be careful of is make sure if it says to change from your water soluble thread to a different thread so you can sew a seam, you need to make sure, because you don't want to sew your seams with water soluble thread. So let me thread with this neutral color thread. Okay, and then I'm going to sew a seam. And then the next step, we're going to flip this right side up. We're going to give it a little finger press. And we're going to make sure it's nice and smooth. And with the same thread, we don't need to change the thread. We're going to sew a tack down stitch to hold that fabric in place. All right, now what we need to do is we need to trim around where the stitching is, about 1/4 inch from the stitching. And again, I'm using the hoop scissors. We have a mini, and we also have a larger hoop scissors. The mini works great for just about anything. I do like to use the regular hoop scissors if I have a larger, longer amount of fabric to cut. So I'm going to use the hoop scissors to cut scant 1/4 to 1/4 inch. The great thing about doing the piecing in the hoop is that your machine is going to sew exactly where it needs to be, which is, so you don't need to worry about exact size of the piece, which is the opposite of sewing and making a quilt on a regular sewing machine. So you don't have to worry about it being a perfect 1/4 inch, scant 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch, and you are good to go. And we are on step 7, and it says, this one, we're going to need the longer piece of our teal check. And this is 2 by 8.5 inches. So we're going to cut this in half so that we have, I think, 2 by 4.25. Is that the right math? It says in the instructions. So I'm just folding it in half, and I'm going to cut this one long piece into 2 pieces. Lay this aside. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece and lay it right side down with the raw edges even. And we're going to make sure we have at least 1/4 inch at the top and the bottom. And we're going to sew another seam. And then we're going to flip this right side up. You can see the framing around the door beginning to take shape. So I'm just going to flip this and give it a good finger press and smooth it out of the way. We'll do a tack down on this in just a moment. Before we do that, we're going to add the piecing over to the right hand side. So again, you do the same thing over on the other side. We're going to stitch a seam. Okay, now I'm going to flip this fabric right side up as well, and I'm going to finger press the seam. I'm going to smooth this out, and now we're going to do a tack down all the way around. That way we have just one tack down step instead of 2. So let's go ahead and tack this fabric down. We're using the same thread. Penny, you're a Hoop Sisters addict. I don't know if I should say I'm sorry or I'm not sorry or congratulations. I'm not sure what to say. Debbie, we love the Hoop Sisters mini, Hoop Scissors mini as well. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to trim this. Do my 1/4 inch seam again around all these areas. And I think it looks pretty good up there. So just need to do it on this side. take it out because that's an awkward angle for me. And I will tell you too that if you have to take the hoop off the machine to do any trimming, make sure you keep it on a flat surface. It's tempting to cross your legs and lay it on your lap, but by doing so, you could pop everything out of the hoop or get things out of alignment. So it's important that you do the trimming on a flat surface. So now let's see, step 10, we have a piece of the white fabric. This is our background fabric. That's so stinking cute. So there is make sure I'm grabbing the right piece. There is a 1 3/4 by 9.5 inch piece. And this strip, we're going to do the same thing that we did with the teal check, is we're going to take it and fold it in half and cut it into two 1 3/4 by 4 3/4 inch pieces. So let me go ahead and do that. And I'm just going to do a little finger pressing right there and cut that in half. And in my head, I'm going, this is the right side and this is the right side. And now I'm going to lay the white strip on the left-hand side so the raw edges are even. And I still have that same neutral color thread in the needle, and I'm going to sew another seam. All right, I'm going to flip what we just sewed, and we're going to finger press it and smooth that out, and we're going to leave that again and do the tack down together with this side. So then our white fabric we're going to do on the right-hand side. We're going to lay it right side down with the raw edges even, equal amounts at the top and the bottom, or top and bottom, and we're going to stitch another seam. All right, so now what you do is you're going to flip this side up also, and you're going to finger press it and smooth it out. I am going to change my thread back to water soluble. And the reason I'm using water soluble on these tack down areas is because this is the edge of the block. And if you use regular thread and then you went to sew this block to another block, it could be that it could show up on the front and you'd have to use your seam ripper to pick it out. But if we use water soluble thread, all you have to do is get it wet and it'll come out. All right, so I have my water soluble thread in there. I'm going to make sure my pieces are nicely pressed and laying flat. And with the water soluble thread, I'm going to sew a tack down stitch on both sides. And now it'll jump to the other side. And by the way, I do have my automatic thread cutter on. If you have that feature on your machine, while you're doing the piecing, you can have your automatic thread cutter turned on. All right, and again, it's trimming time. And trimming here, what you're going to do is you're going to trim anything on the inside of your block. You're going to trim a scant 1/4 inch to a 1/4 inch. If it's something on the outside of your block, you can leave that there. And when we trim using the Trimmer by George later, that will be taken care of, and we'll tell you about how to cut that then. Let me take this out, and I'm also going to trim here. So we're going to trim this a 1/4 inch and leave that. And I will do the same over here. All right, we are ready for the next step. I am going to do a seam, so very important now that I switch over to the neutral color thread. So we're back to the same color neutral thread. And I am not like Sarah. Sarah prefers to thread the needle the old-fashioned way, and I like the new wave way. So who would have thought that the old person would want the needle threader and the young person would do it the old-fashioned way? I think it depends on the age of your eyes. So our next step, we changed our thread again, and this is my fabric P4. And we're going to lay this right side down. This is actually our roof. So we'll lay it right side down with the raw edges even up here at the top. And make sure it's centered nicely. And then we'll stitch the seam for this. It's so cute. So a lot of what you've seen, like these steps on both sides and also the roof, is going to be the same on all 9 blocks. What will really be different is whatever is inside your house. So now I'm going to take my fabric and I'm going to flip it. Excuse me. I'm going to give it a good finger press. I'm going to smooth it out. And now I'm going to sew the tack down for the roof. Still using the same thread. So not a lot of thread changes, which is great. And now I'm going to trim this 1/4 inch from that stitching. So you can see our little flowered roof. Such cute fabrics. All right, so step 15. Now this is, I think we've made it real clear in the instructions with some kind of a transparent looking fabric to show you where to lay this. But this is one piece of 4 by 11 inch background fabric. It's going to cover this area as well as this area. So here's how you need to lay the one strip on there to get started. We're going to first do the seam here to cover this area. You're going to lay it so that the corner is raw edges even here, and it is also covering the fabric there. And the diagram that is in your instructions, hopefully you'll be able to, terrible view, but you can see the instructions there also will give you a great idea on how to lay your fabric down. So we're going to stitch the seam. All right, now we're going to flip it. So the right side is up, and I'm going to finger press all the way along here, even out past that basting stitch. And I'm going to smooth that out, and it's going to sew a tack down stitch. All right, now what you need to do is we need to use what's down here for this spot here. So what I like to tell people to do is to fold it like this. So it was like this. We're going to fold it so that it lines up with this piece that's down here. And you can finger press it and open it and cut it, or you can just cut it while it's folded. But this is the little piece here. And again, your hoop scissors comes in handy for this. All right, so we've got that there. We're just going to, again, finger press and smooth that out. So now we have our other piece of fabric. I'm like, which side was the right side? Okay, this is the right side. So now you're going to take it and you can put the seam on this side, or you can flip it over and do it on this side. It doesn't matter. I know there's a big angle there, but it's okay. You're just going to lay it right side down. Again, with those raw edges even, and make sure you have about the same amount outside the block on the side and also on the top. And now we can stitch the seam. All right, now I'm going to take this and I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to finger press it just to get it out of the way. And I'll put my hoop back on the machine. And now we have one more piece of fabric to add, and that's here down at the bottom of the house. So again, we'll put this right side down, raw edges even with equal amount on both sides, and we'll sew a seam. Then we pretty much have our house put together. All right. right, now I'm going to finger press, flip this piece, finger press. I am going to, this we don't need. I'm going to cut this because I don't want that to flop over into my block. So I'm just going to make sure that that doesn't happen. And now it's going to stitch welcome right there. So you can choose any color thread you want. I'm going to put this pretty color in here. I wonder if Sarah's faster at threading just by pushing the thread through the needle as I am using the features on the machine. We'll have to do a contest someday.
Sometimes she can't do it.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes, most of the time I can't do it. That's why I use the feature on the machine. All right, so I'm going to stitch the word welcome and also a doorknob. You need a doorknob to get into your house, right? All right, let me trim off a little thread tail I see there. There it is. And then here comes our little doorknob. And now if you want to, and again, you could just leave this like this and not do this. But the next step is to add the vinyl. And you could do the stitching around there without the vinyl, or you could choose to add the vinyl in there. So let me just show you what you do with the vinyl. It's a pretty good size square. So as long as you have it towards the top of your door, you will be just fine. And I'm just going to leave the same color thread in there, and it's going to tap that piece of vinyl down, and then it'll look more like a window.
Check out this comment.
Yes, Sarah, it's on, baby. You and me. Okay, now we're going to leave that vinyl. Oh, you know what I did not do? What? Oh, no. I thought that there was a thread under the vinyl, but it's just a thread tail from the top. Now what we're going to do is you need to make the choice of whether you're going to do a one-piece backing. Probably should have made this choice ahead of time. But whether you want to do a one-piece backing or you want to put the backing on while it's in the hoop. And I know we don't normally do that, but we're going to do that today. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change to water-soluble thread. And whether you're doing the backing on the back or not, on this step, you will do this step. You just won't add the backing fabric. But you will put water-soluble thread in the needle.
Can I answer a question real quick?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple people ask, no, this kit did not include the vinyl. It should not be in the kit. So if you're saying it's not there, it shouldn't be. We did include it in a different kit, which was cider and donuts, which we just released. So that might be why the confusion. But no, we did not include vinyl in this kit.
Yep. And the kit also does not include backing fabric, just so you're aware. But there's so many different beautiful colors in the quilt. I'm sure most of you could go dig right in your stash and be able to find a piece of like 17 by 23 inch piece of backing fabric for one piece backing. But like I said today, which we don't normally do, we're going to add the backing while the block is still in the hoop. So I'm just going to add the same white, and all I'm going to do is lay it on the back. I took the hoop off the machine, but I did not take the block out of the hoop. And I'm just going to lay it on here. And I'm going to make sure that I have it centered over the block the way that it should be. and there's really no reason to use any tape. I'm petting it gently. I'm not pushing down because I don't want anything to come out of alignment or registration, but we're just doing this so that it clings to the battleizer and it doesn't go anywhere. So I'm going to now put my hoop back on the machine. However, I always look underneath to make sure everything is still where it's supposed to be. So now with the water-soluble thread and the backing on, we're just going to make sure again that all these loose pieces here at the top and the one at the bottom is all smoothed out nicely. And with the water-soluble thread, it's going to sew those corners, tack those corners down, and make sure that that backing fabric stays on the back. All right, our last step is the quilting. And we're going to use thread that matches, or you can do thread that is just a little slightly darker or lighter than your background fabric if you want to. That is going to go in the needle. If you did not add the backing, then you can just leave your embroidery bobbin thread in the bobbin and put in your whatever color quilting thread you choose for the top. And I just said quilting thread, but I want to clarify that we're still using a good quality polyester embroidery thread. All right. Now, since we talked about what to do if you did not add the back, if you didn't add the back, then you can start sewing and you're good to go. However, since we have the back on, we want to make sure that our bobbin thread is going to match our needle thread. So I'm going to switch out my bobbin as well. And it's the same thread that I have in the needle. And we always recommend that you use the same exact thread in the bobbin for these steps. Hold on here. Use the same thread in the bobbin that you do in the needle. Don't try and mix colors because maybe your backing is pink and you want pink thread there. We don't recommend doing that because you may get a few blocks that'll stitch out great, and then all of a sudden your tension's not going to be exactly perfect. All right, so now we're ready to do the quilting. Now there's a couple things you need to do. I'm going to go to my set menu on my machine. My automatic, this would just be only if you added the backing and you have your matching needle and bobbin thread. You need to go to your set menu and you need to go to your embroidery mode. And every machine and brand is going to be slightly different. And you need to find where it says thread cutting. We're going to turn the thread cutting off. Okay, so we don't want any thread cutting. I think for this it may not matter, but I hit something I shouldn't have hit. Okay. But those are the two things we do. We match the needle and bobbin thread. We turn the needle or the thread cutter off. And the other thing we're going to do is we're going to bring our bobbin thread to the top by doing needle down, needle up. And now I have the bobbin thread and the needle thread here. And then I can begin sewing. And by doing those little tips right there, it'll really avoid some bird nests on the back of your block. It's not guaranteed, but I'm telling you, if you have one, it won't be nearly as bad as if you did not do those steps. Okay, it's doing some quilting there for a minute or two, Aubrey. And then when it's finished, I will go ahead and show them how to use the trimmer by George. If that's okay.
All right. So I'm going to pop this back up on the screen because I did see a couple comments of people who have tuned in since we started and since we've shown it and didn't get a chance to see it. So here it is. It's super duper cute. I love everything about it. So 9 unique blocks. I actually was just while you were sewing, I was approving Facebook posts in our VIP group because some of you have finished and you've posted. And I know Joni, she actually made the kit so it looks just like this, and then also made a smaller version in like purples. So go to the Facebook group after the live,
Cool. After
the live, and check that out. And we'll drop the order link again, because if you're kicking yourself for not ordering this when it was a mystery, at the beginning of this live, we had kits left, mini mystery mailer kits left at the beginning of this live. I don't know if we do now, but we also do have this as a downloadable design. Okay. So make sure that you check that out. The other thing I want to mention is I see a lot of people typing heart. We don't have a giveaway today. This was just a reveal. I did not set up a giveaway. We said type heart or welcome in the beginning. We got more welcomes, so we stitched the welcome block instead of stitching the heart block. So just know that.
To go back and stitch the heart block.
Okay, so let's take it back over to you.
Okay. Well, here it is. This is what we just stitched together. It's super cute. I'm going to go ahead and take it out of the hoop.
Oh, someone asked, is the needle fabric or stitching? And I think what you're asking is this needle fabric or stitching. And
this is stitching.
Yeah.
This is, it might be a 3D satin stitch.
It's thick.
It feels like it. I think this is a 3D satin stitch. And this is stitching too. It's not actually a curvy thread running through there.
Cool.
It's very cool. Okay, so now this is the one that we just stitched out. The only thing really left to do on it would be to cut away this extra vinyl. So I'm going to go and do that right now. So cut it like a 1/16 of an inch. Don't get too close. You don't want it to tear out from the stitches. But you can go ahead and trim your vinyl away. And then one more little side. All right, I think I have all my vinyl. I laid it up, the vinyl on the trimmer. Now it wants to cling. That was probably a mistake. So now let's talk about just how to trim. So this particular quilt does not have a border to it. It just didn't need a border. It was too cute just by itself. So when you're trimming your blocks, your instructions will tell you at the very end, and it says any side of your block that will be sewn to another block will be trimmed using the trimmer by George to remove bulk. And I will show you how to do that. Any side of your block that will be on the edge of your quilt will be trimmed 1/4 of an inch from the basting stitch through all the layers. The fabric on the front is then trimmed 1/4 of an inch from the basting stitches. So that's what it says. Now I'm going to show you what it says. All right. Okay. So first of all, the quilt, the way we show it, you can have it laid out any way you want. It can be absolutely any way you want to. So I decided I was going to make 4 of these. One of them I still have that little heart to make, but I thought I would we're going to put the house, the welcome here, and maybe another house over here, just for a cute little 4-patch design. So you have to think of where your block is going to be. So if this is going to be my layout, then this side and this side will have the binding sewn to it. So those are the sides that I'm going to use, the ruler side of the Trimmer by George. Maybe I should talk about the Trimmer by George for a second. Okay, this is our amazing Trimmer by George tool that we use to remove bulk from the seam, so that when you sew your already pre-quilted blocks together, you don't have all that bulk in the seam. It is an acrylic ruler, which is amazing. But what's even more amazing is it has this metal edge to it. And that metal edge, I'm trying to get a
You're
good
making
view.
me seasick.
I know, I'm sorry. I'm trying. You can see there is a little crimped metal edge there. And that metal edge is the magic. It's going to protect your fabric on the front. And it's also going to give you a straight edge to cut against. Now, since this metal edge raises your acrylic ruler up a little bit, you do need to be using a 60mm rotary cutter instead of a 45. I think most people who've never done our stuff before maybe have a 45, But to use the trimmer by George, you will need a 60 millimeter.
And I will say, Dorothy, the difference is that this metal edge is a lot sturdier on the 3.0. If you have a 2.0, the functionality of it is exactly the same.
Yes,
you can absolutely use your 2.0 to get the same effect.
Yep.
We just upgraded kind of the sturdiness of that metal.
Yeah. Okay, so if this is going to have binding and this is going to have binding, what I like to personally do in my head is I like to trim the sides first. That's through all the layers so that I don't remove too much. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll do the metal edge side. So this side will have binding. So I'm going to, you turn it over this side to the ruler side, and I'm lining it up with the basting stitches on the block. Line it up with the 1/4 inch mark, and then you're going to trim it away.
Ooh, you almost cut that one.
I know. I knew it was there, and I was being careful, but you never know. So this also will have binding sewn to it. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Lining that ruler up at that 1/4 inch mark. And then cutting that away. So you can see that this is ready for binding. And that's how I trimmed these two as well. They're ready to go into my little mini quilt. So now this side will be sewn to a block, and so will this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to slide, shimmy. What's the term we want to use? Let's say shimmy today. We're going to take this metal edge and we're going to shimmy it between the battleizer and the fabric on the front. And then we're going to, you saw me doing a little sawing action to help get it nice and close. And then I'm going to lay it down. And then I like to give it gentle, very gentle tug, just to make sure that it's getting as close up as it possibly can. But look to see and make sure there is no fabric that came out underneath that metal edge. And then I'm going to take the rotary cutter and it's going to trim away the fabric that was on the back, your backing fabric, and your battleizer. If you're doing a one-piece backing, then it's just removing the battleizer. All right, I'm going to turn it around to this side and shimmy that in there and lay it down. I'll do another gentle tug and a visual look to make sure nothing's showing. And the beauty of it is all that battleizer will be gone from your seam. So we do have fabric left on the front, so I flip it over to the ruler side. And then I'm going to lay the 1/4 of an inch mark on the basting stitch, and I can trim the excess fabric away. Pretty easy, huh? And we're doing the same thing with this. So there is our completely stitched and trimmed block that we did together today. And you can see the back that these two sides are going to have binding on it. These two are joined to another. Oh, it's white on white. I probably should have chose a color background.
We do that all the time.
Yeah. So here will be my little quilt. When I get it done, I will do another heart, and then I'll stitch them together. And this is a one-day thing, right?
Yeah.
So I think, do you think we are going too long? Can I show them our anchor pin technique for pinning blocks together?
You guys want to see it? Let's do it.
Okay. Let me go grab some pins.
Okay, while she's grabbing pins, I always like to take over. While she's grabbing pins, we do have a couple kits left that will have the fabric that you've seen us using today, which, by the way, someone asked if it was poppy cotton. I don't think it is.
I think this is Moda.
I thought so. Okay, so this is Moda. And then it will also have the design on USB for $65.99. Once they sell out, they're gone. Okay, and there's like a handful. So just know that. We also have it available on digital download.
Okay, so when we're pinning our blocks together, it's pretty much like pinning just regular quilted blocks that, like you would if you were making a regular quilt that's not done in the hoop. But what we have is we have a lot of thickness as we're pinning together. So it makes different challenges. And we're going to show you how to overcome those. So of course, you're going to take your fabrics, your two blocks, and you're going to put them right side together. I would like to point out before I put them together, that we need to look for. I need something sturdy to put underneath this. There we go. So what we need to look for are match points. So your match points would be where you want this block to meet perfectly on this one. So of course it would be the corners. Another place on this one would be the seam that goes across here, and also where the seam is there. So those are going to be our match points. So we're going to show you the match point anchor pinning technique. So we have our blocks, we put them together. And what we're going to do first is I'm going to take one pin. This first pin is going to be my anchor pin. I'm going to put it through the first anchor point on that first block. And then the second block also had, why do I do white? It's just hard to see.
Because it's so pretty.
It is pretty. So now I'm going to put that anchor pin through the corner of the block behind it. And I'm going to leave that pin sticking straight out. Can you see that?
That crooked pin.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, it is crooked.
Doesn't matter.
I guess I'm
Still
so
does the
used to
trick.
crooked pins. That's like, whatever. Okay. So we're going to leave that sticking out. We're going to leave that there. I am going to find this is called our anchor pin. I'm going to grab another anchor pin and I'm going to go to the other corner and I'm going to put it right through the corner on the first block and right through the corner on the second block. And again, these are both anchor pins, so they will stay sticking out like that. Now that I have those two in there, what this is going to do, since it was right on the corners, it is going to line the basting stitch up this way so our blocks aren't shifting this direction. And it also will line it up going the other way. So it holds everything in place real nice. I'm going to take, this is going to be a permanent pin right next to this anchor pin. I'm going to put it first through the seam allowance. So just through two pieces of fabric. And then I can bring it back through the block and the thicknesses itself. And that anchor pin can then come out, but that holds it in place from shifting up and down or left to right. So I'm going to do the same thing here. Here's my anchor pin and my permanent pin, putting it just through the seam allowance and then back through the block. And then I can take my anchor pin out and it won't move. So now those other two places that we saw where it's kind of on an angle, we're going to right on the basting stitch line. And then I'm going to look in here and go, okay, I'm like one stitch off. Going to make a little adjustment here. And again, this will be my anchor pin. You can hopefully see that it is lining right on where that fold was for that seam. And then I'm going to put it through the other side in the exact same place. So there's my anchor pin. I have everything lined up this direction and that direction. And now I can put my permanent pin through just the fabric and then back through the block. And then I can remove my anchor pin again. And I'm going to also do it here. And the number of pins you put on in here is going to be your preference. It's going to also be based on the number of match points you might have in a particular block. They're all going to be a little bit different. This is a crooked pin too. So again, I'm just, I am lining this up with that seam and then doing the same thing on the other side, right along the basting stitch. And then I'm going to put another permanent pin there right next to that anchor pin. And then I can take it out. And then you can put other pins in there. If you feel comfortable putting one here or here, you go right ahead. If you feel comfortable leaving that, then you can leave it. Where you're going to stitch is going to be, I'm going to use an ink pen. Isn't this crazy? I'm going to mark where the basting stitch is on here. Because can you see those little lines? You are going to stitch your seam right on top the basting stitch. Okay, that's where you stitch it. I like, well, actually, this is how you would sew it on your machine. So I like to start right like 1/4 of an inch in, and then I'll do a couple back stitches, and then I'll go forward and I will stitch right on top that basting stitch all the way across. And then you can take I take my pins out before I get to that spot. I never sew over my pins. And that's basically how you do the match point anchor pinning technique.
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
But it works.
It does. And that way you have everything lined up perfectly. you'll do less ripping out and restitching. Sometimes if things don't line up perfectly, I have found that if I do a little pinch, thinking maybe I just need a little deeper seam, and then things will line up. So
Perfect.
I'm sure there are some expert seamstresses out there who know exactly what I'm talking about, maybe even have better tips than I do. So anyhow, that's what I have to show them.
Yeah. So it's super cute if you haven't noticed. So couple things. Would you do it again? Should we do it again? Because I got to tell you, we're already planning next year.
Yeah.
And we thought this was so much fun. If you would do it again, or maybe you didn't do it this time, but you would do it if we did it again, put a yes in the comments, and we'll see how many yeses we get. I'm going to star a couple things, and then you can just, if you can see them,
sure,
just
absolutely.
read them. And then if you want to talk about
it, I may have to get in your face and their
Go
face
for
too.
it.
Says, are you
wait, hold on.
Oh,
I want you to read them to yourself.
Oh,
and get ready to answer them. Okay. And then also, I want to say real quick before we answer those couple questions. First of all, if you would do it again, put a yes, or if you would do it the next time, put a yes in the comments. The second thing I want to tell you is, how cool was it that we went and looked at backing a little bit? We usually we've been doing the one piece back, but there's a second backing option. I wanted to tell you that
one piece.
Yes. I wanted to tell you that next week we have something really cool going on. It's called Hoop Sisters Academy. It's all week. So we're spending the whole week, 2:00 going live. Annie's teaching.
Yep. We're going to be talking about a whole slew of things, backing, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
I need to get prepared for that tomorrow.
Yeah. So, so I'm bringing it up because I'm hoping Nina can drop the link to register for that. There's a freebie for registering as usual.
It's a cool one too.
It is cool.
Yeah.
And we are going to be basically the last 2 days are all about backing, two different backing options. We're going to go more in depth into backing than we do on a standard workshop. So if you want some more of this, come back next week and join us live. We're going to have a lot of fun then. Do you want to answer any of these?
Why don't you put Barb's up?
Okay.
Barb, I'm not, this is Barb Ward. I'm not 100% sure. Read the question again. Not sure what you're asking. It says, are you leaving a 1/4 inch because of the stitches and flip? I'm not sure what you mean, Barb. If you want to clarify that, we'll see if we can catch that and hopefully answer it for you.
All right. Oh, this was a cute comment too.
Love it. Can hardly wait to make it as a down bed quilt. That would be perfect.
It would.
And you know what? If you need it bigger, you just make more blocks and just keep going. Yep.
Okay.
Linda will be waiting for your pictures.
Speaking of pictures, I did approve some things in the VIP Facebook group. We're going to drop the order link a couple more times here real quick. Do you want to do this one?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Penny says, do they make a colored water soluble thread? It would be so much easier to see than the basting line. That is just like
genius.
So genius.
You should do that. You should create that.
Penny, you invent that.
We'll use it.
You go ahead and you get it. What do they have to do? Trademarked?
Or,
you know, whatever, patented. And then we will be buying it from you. Absolutely. That would be wonderful. Sometimes we don't even use water soluble. We will use a colored thread, but it's not water soluble. And we only do that so that everyone can see it.
Right.
So yeah, that was a great suggestion. I'm going to look and see if there is such a thing. And if there is, I'm definitely going to let everyone know.
Cool.
All right.
Okay. Well, I think that's all we've got for you today. But if there's a lot going on in the comments. So if you have a question that we did not get to, as comments are coming in from a couple different places, please feel free to reach out to Nina. We'll get you all taken care of. She can handle it. So go ahead and, oh, Beverly, of course, there's a kit. There's some cool things coming next week. So go get registered for that. And if you loved this, let us know because we will build it into next year. If you didn't, we won't. So you guys can decide.
Right. Let us know. Let us know if you want a mini mystery mailer again.
All right. Well, have a good week. We will
Yep.
see you next week, every day next week.
Yes.
So
thanks
it's
for
like a whole
joining
show.
us. I know it is.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.